Yo, what is up guys? This is Producer Diaries again with Bluewell, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to make a proper Amapiano joint. Let's get it! Alright, welcome to the studio guys. Let's get it. So I've got the file open right in front of us for this Mapiano song. And the good news is that you'll be able to download this file absolutely for free so that you can check out instrument for instrument what I've done on this file. So if you check out on this video, there'll be a link in the description where you can simply click on that link. It's going to ask for your email address, and then after you enter your email address, you will get the file. And what I have realized is that most of you guys might not have the same VSTs that I have, because we don't obviously use the same VSTs. So I have exported separates so that you can see the individual instruments. So if you download that file, it will give you a Fruity Loops file where there's separates inside where you can check out all these instruments individually. So without further ado, let's play the song and listen to what I have here. So that is the Mapiano song that I've created for this tutorial, and I think it's a banger, you know. Usually this is a good foundation for if you want to send the beats to a vocalist so that you guys can try and work on something together. And then after you receive the vocals, obviously you'd fix all the little things so that the beat properly sits with the vocal and it's all one thing, you know what I'm saying. So let's get to the track. in terms of the first instrument, I've got a kick here. Very heavy kick. I used a VST that's called Kick 2 by Nick Romero, if I'm not mistaken, and Sonic Academy. Because the initial VST that I had downloaded was called Kick by Nick Romero, who's an electro producer. But it seems like this one has been developed by Sonic Academy. I'm not sure if it still has anything to do with it. So I've obviously put in my settings to suit the type of kick that I want there. And then on the mixer channel, I've got EQ there where I've boosted around 40 hertz. So that gives the kick a lot of sub and power, you know. So if we listen to it on its own, so that's how it sounds like without a compressor and that EQ. So with the EQ, gives it some sub, and then with some compression, so it really makes the kick boom. And then these are the compression settings. I just leave it for 5 seconds so that you can see. So those are the settings that I have on the compressor. So it's mostly gain that's probably working out here, but I didn't want to use just normal volume, you know. I wanted to have some compression in there. And then we've got Rhodes here, which are some keys. Let me just turn this on. Okay, so these Rhodes on their own, this is how they sound like. Then I've added like low keys over here just to make it a bit stronger. So on their own, they're like this. With these low keys. So the reason why I have these keys underneath the Rhodes, like if you can check, the melody's playing up here. The melody's playing way up here. And then I've got these low Rhodes keys over here. It's because sometimes when you have keys on your song that play too high, they become a bit thin. So you back it up with some keys that are a bit lower so that your keys sound a bit strong. And then the Rhodes that I used here, let me just open up this VST. Come on, come on, open up, open up, open up. Okay, so I've used this synth over here. It's called, I'll tell you what it's called now. Let me go to my plugins, install generators, audio units. Yeah, so this is called Ultra Analog VA1. That's the name of this VST. And then I've used a nice little preset that I found there in order to make these keys. And then here I've got Lounge Lizard. I think most of you guys might have this. It's nice for rows and keys and that type of thing. So when those play together, this is how they sound like. Alright. And then on the Rhodes track, I've sort of EQ'd out so that they're not too bright there. And then I've EQ'd out all the really sub information. So mostly you want your kick and your bass line to be sitting there. So that's why I've cut out there. And then I've used the reverb. The Fruity Convolver, it's on Fruity Loops. I find that this reverb is much better than Fruity Reverb itself, you know, because this is sort of like a plate reverb, you know, and it's got some nice presets on there. You can literally choose from any environment that you want. Montclair Church, auditorium, doors, cafeteria, classroom. So this reverb is really good because it gives you like an environment feel, you know. If you check there, there's empty room settings, there's a halls, seat halls, there's cathedrals, you know, there's a bathroom setting there. So this reverb is really nice because it's really based on actual environments, you know, and that's the type of reverb that you're gonna get. So instead of using Fruity Reverb, try Fruity Convolver. It's much better in my opinion anyways. And then here I've got some congas. So there's EQ there. I've cut out most of the highs so that it's not too sharp on the ears. Then I've got another conga here. So most of these sounds I just like to improve the rhythm. I like to add a lot of little sounds that improve the rhythm of the song, you know. And then the main instruments, will sort of give the song a backbone, but these little ones give the song proper rhythm. So here I've EQ'd out so that it's not too bright as well. And then here I've got an instrument that I called perk. Now remember guys, if you've seen the last video on how I made Ndagwez Antoni, I said most of the sounds that I call perk is sounds where I'm not sure what the percussion sound is. So I just call it perk. That's what I label it. Okay, so there's no effects on that. And then here I've got a snare. Okay, that's on channel 6. There's no effects on that. So let's just hear what we have so far. So that's pretty much the backbone of our song before we start to add shakers and rhythm and all of that. And then here I've got a tom. Okay, this tom is on channel number 7. Okay, there's no effects on that tom, and then I've added a rim shot. Okay, so where I've labeled it rim shot, I've actually made a combination of a clap and the snare together, right? And then I've put it on one channel, and then I've EQ'd it out the high end so that it's not too sharp. And then I've also added a sound goodizer for compression, and then joint, they sound like a rim shot. Okay, and then I've got another rim shot here. Okay, that's on channel 9. There's no effects going on over there. And then here I've got a sound that I call the tonal sound. So a tonal sound is those sounds where it's not really a melody, it's not really a drum. It's just like a sound that has like an atmosphere. If you can hear that, it's more of a sound that creates an atmosphere more than anything else. So you can sort of hear it in the song. It fills up like that empty space that usually drums have. Okay, and then here I've got perks again. So these, what they do is that they also contribute towards the rhythm of the song, you know? Because sometimes your drum can sound really empty if you don't have such things. Alright, and then let's get to the fun part, which is the shakers. You guys should know that I really love my shakers. If you've seen the last video, you know that I love shakers. So here I've made a rhythm of shakers myself. And then I've got no processing on it. And then here's more shakers that I've added just to increase the rhythm. Okay, so all of those shakers together include a hi-hat. So there's a hi-hat in between here where it says shakers hi-hat. It's just supposed to be hi-hat. So another little secret that you can use on your hi-hat is to put a reverb on it, right? Here I've decided to put a fruity reverb because I want to control all the lows. So if you can check there, I've cut out all of the lows on the reverb. And then I've cut out just a bit of the highs. And then I've got a sound goodizer on the hi-hat because it was sounding very weak. And then I've obviously trimmed out that high end that's too sharp over there. And then I've also trimmed out most of the low end this side. So together those shakers with the hi-hat, this is how they sound like. Alright. And then here we've got Pizzicato Strings. Okay, and then in terms of those Pizzicato Strings, let me just find them quickly on the project. Okay, I used Korg M1 and the name of the sound is called Synth Piz. So for those who have Korg M1, this is the sound that you can use. It's on channel 23. There is absolutely no effects on there. So this sound already has a reverb on the VST. So that's why I didn't add a reverb on Fruity Loops, because on the VST it's got a reverb if you listen carefully. Yeah. And then here we've got a very famous sound. It's called tremolo signal. Most of the Amapiano songs use it. And I know probably most of you guys are wondering what that sound is. You can find it on Purity. That's the name of the UST, Purity. And the name of the sound is called Tremolo Signal. So I think if you go to the presets there and you go to Slow Synth, you'll find it here, Tremolo Signal. And it's a very famous sound from Amapiano. I'm sure you guys all know it. And then here, we've got shaker loops. Channel 27, I've added EQ on there. So this one, I felt like the shakers weren't very sharp. So the only thing that I've done is cut out our lows and then left the highs to play by themselves. Then I've got another shaker here. Guys, if you guys want most of these shaker loops, I'm going to make them available as packs and you guys will be able to get them. But for now, let's just go through the song. Okay, so on those shakers, there's absolutely no processing on there. And then here I've got an open hat. Here I've got a trumpet. Okay, that's also very important for creating rhythm in a song, you know. I'm sure you've heard a trumpet in most Maphorisa songs. So I use this one in Purity called muted trumpet. You can find it under the brass section here. So the brass section is mostly like your trumpets, your horns, your, you know, that those type of sounds, the mostly instruments that you would play blowing it, or you know. So yeah, let's just hear what we have so far. I'm gonna switch on everything one at a time going up. As you can hear, that's like the meat of our song. This is the backbone of the song, you know. Anything else is just extras, but for now we've really got our song there. And then here I've got a djembe. So if you can hear this one, it just adds on to the rhythm of the song as well. Alright, so let's check what processing I've done on it. Okay, the only thing that I've added is a sound goodizer for compression, just to make the sound stronger. And then we've got another snare here. Okay, on the snare there's no processing, there's no effect on there. Then I've got a triangle. And then I've got a tom here, very important, this tom. So I'm gonna play the start of the song with the tom off and then switch it on. So that's with no tom, this is with the tom. So what I've done here is that I've taken a sound that's like just the tom, and then I've played it at different places so that it's got it sort of sounds like it's part of the instruments. Like if you just have a sound that's playing at the same place, it doesn't sound like the tom has different keys to it, you know. So sometimes it's nice to really draw out a sort of melody with some of your instruments, even instruments that don't have melody like toms and snares, you know. Sometimes when you play them on different keys, it acts like you're sort of tuning your drums, you know, because it's important to have drums that go with the melody of the song. So let's listen to this tom again. I'm gonna switch it off then on. So you can hear that difference that that tom is adding there. And then here we've got a Diablo bass. So this is a very nice sound for Amapiano. First time we probably heard it on a huge commercial song was Amauba by Miano and Kamu D and Semi T, I should think. So this Diablo bass, you can find it on GMS, on Fruity Loops. It's a stock sound. Yeah, so it's on GMS, and you go under basses, then you go to Diablo TE. Very nice bass for Amapiano. So I'll put on a supporting bass here so that the bass is a bit deeper. So the Diablo bass on itself, on its own, sounds like this. Then with the supported bass that I have, so with the support bass, let me play it by itself. And together they sound like this. Right, so this support bass is a sound that I designed on Silent. It just says lead number 2 here, but I did a bit of tweaking in terms of the cut off, took out some of the effects that were on here, just to create like a nice low bass, that's not a sub bass. So this is not necessarily a sub bass. A sub bass is the really deep ones. This one is more, it's used commonly in hip hop songs. Yeah. So, and then here we've got our famous log drum. Okay, let me just switch it on. I'm sure you guys all know this. It's a bass line, it's a Amapiano bass line. It's no secret, it's a log drum. So you find it on Fruity DX10, and then you just tweak the settings here up until you have a nice sounding bass line for yourself, for your Amapiano song. And then I did a bit of processing on it. So I put on a Fruity soft clipper, right? And at the moment, it looks like this soft clipper is not doing anything because I ended up adding a soft clipper on the master channel, if you can check there. So on this log drum, this soft clipper is not really doing much, I just increased the post gain, which is a bit of volume, amplitude if you must, and then I've got a sound goodizer on it. So without that processing, I think what most people struggle with a log drum is to get it to punch and to hit through the mix. So I think these two little settings should be able to help you. So that's how it sounds like with no processing. And then if you add the soft clipper and the sound goodizer, you can hear it really came to life there, It really came to life. It smacks on the speakers. And then here I've got another shaker loop. On that shaker loop, I've added some reverb just to give it a bit of depth in the mix. And then I've got an effect. More effects. Crash seems to be off. Why is this crash off? Channel 34. Okay. I must have switched off something on this crash for it not to play. Yeah, but basically that's the crux of this Amapiano song. And all of these things, when you put them together, this is what they give you. So you can hear this drum is really interesting. I've heard a lot of songs that have, let's say, nice sounding drums, but somehow the drums are too computerized. This one sounds a bit more real if you listen to like how the shakers go and the rhythm. Just give it a final listen. So if you look, example, on these toms here that I went through earlier on, some of these things are not really sitting, on the bar directly. Some of them are, if you check here, it's not sitting on the actual bar, Some of them are, but some aren't. There's another one that's not sitting on the bar. And when you do that, it gives your song a bit more life, because if you're producing a song and everything is sitting on the bars, it sounds too computerized and it doesn't appeal to your ear as much, So you need to always make sure that you swing some of the notes and, just to get a nice live feel. And literally, this is about 34 instruments. With 34 instruments, you should be able to get a decent sounding Amapiano track like this, So this is more in the style of somebody who sings. So if I had a Mapiano song like this, you know, I would recommend somebody who's singing very softly with a nice voice, preferably female, or you know, if it's gonna be a male, it should be I don't know, but maybe somebody who sounds like a something so it's somebody with a smooth voice, you know, because most of the time, if you check with my piano songs like this that are mostly done by Kabza and Maphorisa, they would go for a beat like this if they're looking for smooth singing. You know, you can't really have a beat like this and then have vocals that sound like somebody's rapping or quiet though. But I mean, there's no right or wrong when it comes to music. If that's how you want to do it, then you know you can do it that way as well. But my preference for something like this would be a very smooth, soft voice, you know, and I would finish off a beat like this and then send it to a vocalist before I add final changes. But I think at the stage that it's at now, the song is it sounds good enough to actually get a vocalist to buy into the idea, and then afterwards we record and we distribute the song. So thanks for joining me, guys, on today's episode. This was Producer Diaries with Bluewell. I'm gonna leave the song and let it play for you guys. Don't forget you can get this file in the description below. If you don't have these VSTs, also don't worry. What I've done is exported the separates, so you'll be able to have an audio file of these roads alone and the kick alone and everything, so that you can hear how everything sounds like alone, so that when you're producing you sort of can tune your sounds so that they almost match what I've done, so that you can get a cleaner sound. And most of the mixing is already done on this file, so it would be very good for you to download it, because you can actually check what I did with the EQs and the compressors, you know. I tried to, in terms of all of the effects that I used here, I tried to only use fruity effects. So even if you check on the master channel, it's a fruity limiter and a soft clipper. I've only used Fruity Loops effects on these instruments. So even when you download it and the separates are in there, you're going to have the same effect, so that you can see what I did from a mixing point of view. And yeah, like I said, that was Producer Diaries with Bluewell, and I'm going to let the track play out. Cheers. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to comment. If you like this video, comment, tell me what you think of the video. If you didn't like it as well, you can write in the comments. It's fine. I'll take criticism. I don't mind criticism. But don't forget to definitely subscribe to the channel and stay tuned on this channel for future videos. I'm out.